The biggest mistake I made when I started my coaching business, I overinvested in tools. What I wish I'd known then is what I'm going to share with you today. What tools you actually need to start your coaching business and which can wait. Hey, Coach, I'm Ronnie Noyes. I started this channel to share the smartest ideas and tools I found to help you start or level up your coaching practice. One of those smart ideas is figuring out exactly which tools you need to start coaching and which you don't. Now, let me be super clear. You do need some tools to look professional and be professional, but you don't need to buy every tool that established coaches or the gurus recommend, especially those spendy all-in-one super tools that do everything under the sun. Spoiler, they don't. So let me walk you through exactly what tools you need as a new coach and in what order, and how to get most of them without breaking the bank. Keep in mind that this list isn't about building the perfect $1 million dream coaching business from day one. This is about building a functional coaching business that can actually make you money and doesn't cost more than you earn. Let's start with the absolute essentials. These are the tools that you need before you take on your first paying client. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because without these, you literally cannot function as a professional coach. And when I say professional, I mean paid. First up, a way for clients to book sessions with you. And no, a back and forth text thread is not a booking system. You need an actual scheduling app where clients can see your availability and book themselves. This does two things. One, it makes you look like you have your act together. Two, it saves you hours of coordination time that you could spend actually coaching or building your business. Yes, technically you can start with free options or the basic version of a booking platform, but know that the free versions have limitations, and in my opinion, they're not enough to get you started. Because if the free app doesn't process client payments, and most of them do not, you're going to have to spend too much time on invoicing and chasing the money you're owed. So my recommendation is that you choose the paid version that can also handle payments, confirmations, the reminders, and so on. The free version that doesn't include payment processing is a false economy, and you will regret it. Now, speaking of payments, professional coaches get paid, as we've already established, so set up Stripe or another payment processor. This lets you send invoices, accept credit cards, and look like an actual business. Some peer-to-peer payment apps like Venmo actually function as payment processors if you sign up for the business version. But be sure you're using the business version to get the full functionality. Now, about fees, typically your processing fees are deducted from the payment, so there's usually no upfront cost. And this is a great time to remind you that yes, you need a separate business bank account for your business. Don't mix your business money with your personal money. That's how you end up with a nightmare at tax time. Next, a virtual meeting space. If you're coaching virtually, you need Zoom, not the free version that cuts you off after 40 minutes right when your client's having a breakthrough. Get the paid version. It's like $15 a month. This is non-negotiable because the paid version lets you have longer meetings, download your videos, and get AI transcription. This is not the place to cheap out. And before you think that something else might work better, ask yourself if it's as easy as Zoom for your clients. If they have to download software just to get to your coaching session, or if they not already Google users familiar with Google Meet, for example, that could be a barrier for some clients, and barriers aren't good for business. If you're coaching in person, you need a private, comfortable space, not a noisy coffee shop where your client is worried about who's overhearing their personal problems or business challenges. A quiet office, a private room, somewhere your client feels safe to open up. That's what they're paying for. Co-working spaces are great for new coaches because you can get deals by the day or week or month. I personally worked from my home office for the first 4 years until I was solidly out of the feast or famine cycle of new business. And then I moved to a nice office downtown, which was great. Of course, now that I'm retired from coaching, I'm back in my home office. Next, you're going to want to record your sessions. This is essential, but it doesn't have to cost you extra money. If you're using Zoom, just hit record. If you're meeting in person, use your phone. Yeah, your phone. Just put it on the table, hit record on the voice memo app, and you're good to go. You don't need fancy equipment. You just need a recording that you can review later and send to your client. All right, now let's talk about transcription. The good news is that you don't need fancy transcription software, and you can get a good package from several providers for about $20 a month. I've used Zoom's transcriptions and Honor AI, but my favorite at the moment is Fathom. because it records video as backup and has note-taking features that create detailed summaries with action items. But if you're really pressed for cash, use the basic AI transcription that comes with the paid Zoom and back it up with your free version of Fathom. And if you don't like Zoom or Fathom, there are tons of free transcription services out there that you can get by for a while without investing. Here's another thing you need to figure out early: storage, because those video files are huge. You can upgrade your Zoom storage, or you can use Google Drive and create private folders for each client. Either way, you need somewhere secure to keep those files. Client confidentiality and security isn't optional. And since video or audio and transcriptions are absolutely expected with sessions these days, you're going to need to be ready for it with private, secure storage for your clients. Now, here's the tool that costs almost nothing, but that most coaches completely ignore: individual spiral notebooks for each client, one notebook per client. You'll use these to take notes during or right after each session. Keep them in a locking cabinet if you're storing them at your office. This is your backup system. This is how you remember that 3 sessions ago, your client mentioned that they were nervous about a conversation with their boss, and now you can follow up and see how it went. Now, I know you're going to review the previous session's summary before each new session, but that notebook is a great place to check for stuff that didn't make the action list. Because digital tools fail, files get corrupted, platforms change, but a notebook, that's forever. And clients notice when you remember details about their lives and previous sessions. That's what makes them think, this coach really cares about me. If you don't know what notebooks I'm talking about, I did a whole video about the power of notebooks. You can watch it next. Now let's briefly touch on social media profiles for your business. Create them, make them look decent, but don't spend too much time trying to make them perfect. You're a coach, not an influencer, at least not yet. Your clients are most likely going to find you through referrals and word of mouth, not because your Instagram grid is aesthetically pleasing. And here's one old school tool that still matters: business cards. Not fancy ones, just simple cards with your name, what you do, and how to contact you. Because you never know when you'll meet a potential client, and let me text you my info is not nearly as memorable as handing someone a professional-looking business card. And when I say professional, that doesn't mean corporate. Yeah, your card can and should reflect your personality, your style, your brand. Just make sure it has your contact information, because that's the whole point of it. So we've covered the essentials for your coaching sessions and startup marketing. And now, just to cover all the bases, we're going to talk basics, the boring but necessary stuff. You need internet access, obviously. You also need a professional email address, not your old college email with the embarrassing nickname. Get a real business email through your domain registrar, or even if you don't have a business domain, you must have your name as a domain, right? And you can usually get an email package from your registrar like GoDaddy, or you can get the email through Google. It's cheap, it's professional, and it integrates with everything else. You also need a business phone number. Now, this doesn't mean you need a second phone. Use Google Voice or a similar service to get a separate number that forwards to your regular phone. Now clients can call you without having your personal cell number. Because believe me, you don't want coaching clients to be able to call you at all hours and between sessions. Unless if you do, I hope you're going to tell me that you're charging them for that. So that's the basic list. Before we move on to as you grow tools, the only other tool I would recommend you invest in is Canva, and for so many reasons. I know that my business would have been so much easier to build had I had the pro version of Canva, but it wasn't available back then. And yeah, you can get the free version, which is amazing. And for graphics, forms, social media, and even websites, you can't beat the quality, ease, and value of Canva. Now, no, this is not a sponsored shout out. I'm just a really big fan. And now let's talk about the tools you probably don't need yet, but will need soon. The As You Grow tool. You don't have to invest in them until you actually need them. First, a newsletter or email marketing app. If you're planning to build an audience, you'll need something like MailerLite or MailChimp to message all of your clients and prospects at once. But if you only have 3 clients, you can email them individually. Wait until you have a real list to manage before you pay for this, unless you're doing lead generation as a marketing strategy, which I highly recommend. In that case, A, that's smart, and B, just the basic free level will work for you at first, so don't worry about another paid subscription yet. And what else? A CRM to manage client information and relationships. Some booking apps include basic CRM features. Some email platforms do too. But here's my advice. Get a separate CRM, client relationship management tool, as soon as you can afford it. Because if you decide to switch your booking app or newsletter platform later, you don't want to lose all your client data or have a whole transition thing. But again, if you only have 5 clients, a spreadsheet or a free version of an app works just fine for now. And you're going to need a website. Now, before you panic, yeah, you'll need a website eventually, but you don't need a $5,000 custom site before you've made a single dollar. Start with a simple one-page site that says who you are, what you do, and how to book with you. You can build this yourself on Squarespace or Wix for $20 a month. Make it professional, make it clear, and move on. Super basic is better than fussy and lame. You can make it fancy later. And even cheaper, you can build and host a site through Canva using their templates as part of their annual fee. There is no better deal than that. Not great for SEO, but search is typically not part of the marketing strategy at this point for most new coaches. Look, I know this is a lot, and I know it feels overwhelming when you're staring at your bank account wondering how you're going to afford all this and still pay rent. So let me break it down into a simple strategy. Before your first paid client, get at least the free or low-cost versions of everything on the Startup Essentials and Basic list. The booking app, Zoom, set up your email, get your payment processor, open your business bank account, and grab those spiral notebooks. You're building your systems, and that's it for now. Everything else can wait. Phase 2. Once you have 10 or more clients, invest in the CRM, the email marketing platform, because at this point, these tools save you more time than they cost. Phase 3. Steady income for 12 months, system set up and working? Okay. Now start the branding process, because by now, you're super clear on who you are, who your client is, and exactly how you want to show up in the world as a coach. This may include upgrading your website or even getting one of those spendy all-in-one coaching business packages. Just remember that the goal isn't to have every tool that successful coaches have. The goal is to have the tools you need right now to serve your clients well and grow your business. Where to start? Let's focus on next steps. Start by looking at where you're at right now. If you haven't signed your first client yet, set up those phase 1 essentials this week. Just those, nothing else. If you already have a few clients, look at what's causing you the most friction and fix that first. Is scheduling a nightmare? Get a better booking system. Are you forgetting details from sessions? Start taking notes. Let the pain points guide your tool decisions, not some list of what you're supposed to have. Even the list from me. Because your best tool that you have is your ability to coach. Everything else is just infrastructure to support that. Make no mistake. The support is necessary and is part of the coaching package and client experience. Without the recordings, the transcripts, the booking app, without the private space for the session, you're not delivering what the client is paying for. Bear in mind that there's no need to go overboard at startup, and overspending creates extra tension and pressure that you don't need in the early days of your coaching business. Build what you need when you need it and spend the rest of your time actually coaching people and getting really good at changing lives. That's what's going to grow your coaching business, not having the fanciest tech stack in the startup phase. Now get to work, coach. I've linked some resources below, including a couple of videos I think you'll find really helpful. But please don't put off getting your startup essentials in place now, because without them, you won't be able to deliver the best coaching experience possible for your clients. Thanks for watching, Coach. I'm Ronnie Noyes, reminding you that today is a great day to be a coach.